Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Rick, and welcome back to Only Football. We are going to be doing Week 6 predictions today. We are also going to talk to a Pats fan named Rusty. You guys might remember him. We're also going to do our favorite matchup for Week 6. Conspiracies with Kyle makes a return, and then we're going to end off with Chives with Kyle. Let's get it.
Let's go! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Only Football, the channel that talks about mostly football. Today, we are going to be talking about everything Rick just said. Really excited to get into these division predictions as Rick cracks open a cold one.
Let's go.
There is one game specifically that I have circled on my calendar when the schedule is released. We'll get to it, but I think we're going to end up starting with it, aren't we? Because we're going in chronological order. So let's just roll right into it. Kansas City is playing the Denver Broncos. They've beaten Denver 15 times straight. They asked Justin Simmons about that, and he said, well, you know, it's important to keep in mind that even though they beat us 15 times in a row, every year it's a new team. It's a new locker room. It's a different coach. And this is a lot of new, but this is definitely the team that runs the West. It's going to be very difficult. I mean, if you were to say Kansas City is the best team in the AFC, you could make an argument for that. If you were to say Denver's the worst team in the AFC, you could make an argument for that. So, you know, this is essentially a really, really lopsided game, but I actually have this game a lot closer than people expect, and I'll let you go first, and then I'll tell you why.
Yep, and I'm going to be one of those people that you expect. After what happened last week, and for the Broncos, Kyle, I'm sorry, but the Broncos are probably one of the top 5 worst teams in the NFL right now.
Oh shit!
Let's be real.
We just started, man.
I know, and I don't want to break your heart. I really don't. But at the end of the day, that's kind of what the Broncos have been this season, and it sucks to say because my Bears are right there with you. But the Chiefs, we've mentioned it before, and they showed it last week against the Vikings. The Chiefs have a defense that they can rely on at the end of the game. For most of these years with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid on the Chiefs, it's been, can the offense outscore the other offense? And this year, it's the defense that is able to win games for the Chiefs. For the Broncos, the defense has been the weakest spot in this team. Russ has obviously taken a big step forward, but the defense has obviously taken a big step back. And you as a Broncos fan know that better than anybody, really, right? So I think at the end of the day, this is kind of a no-brainer for myself. And I think a lot of the NFL agrees that the Chiefs are going to win this game by, I would say, by at least 2 score. I know the lines opened at 10.5 favorites.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. So unfortunately, Kyle, I love you, and we're going to stream this game, and I'm going to root for the Broncos just like you rooted for my Bears last Thursday night. But I've got the Chiefs winning this one, dude. I'm sorry.
Do you like jazz music, Rick? Let me play something for you. I can hold that note all day, buddy.
All day.
No, I understand, man. It's the reality of the situation. I get it. Now, Denver, that's rock bottom. You lose, you give up 70 points, and then 2 weeks later, Nathaniel Hackett comes in, and as soon as Aaron Rodgers goes down, you're looking at this schedule, and you're like, oh my God, they might be 5-1 because they've lost all of their winnable games somehow.
Yeah.
And they're the opposite. They're 1-4. So I dove into this one a little bit specifically. So Denver's allowing 469 yards a game. That's the worst in the NFL. That's almost half of 1,000 yards per game.
Jesus.
469. Okay, Kansas City, they have underperformed up to this point in the season, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
offensively, yes.
Offensively, yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't find a replacement for Juju Smith. There's nobody down there where Tyreek used to be. Like Patrick Mahomes was so good the year after they moved off Tyreek, you started to think, well, maybe Mahomes, it doesn't matter. You're having the kind of season where it looks like it does matter that there's not a person down there that he believes in. Mm-hmm. So it may be a case of Kansas City being the hunted because every team wants to bring their best game against them. But they played close with the Jets, and then even with the Vikings, they had a chance to win the game at the end of the game. So I bring that up because
as he takes a cup of water.
Denver's been struggling to put together 4 quarters of football. Russell Wilson's taken much of the heat, but is Russ really playing that bad? As bad as Denver's offense has looked at times, they're still ranked 10th in points per game. Denver's right under Kansas City, 25.6 points per game with 24.2 points per game. So Kansas City ranked 9th. Denver and Kansas City both have not gotten their offenses going, but only one of these teams has an actual defense that's keeping them in games. Kansas City's ranked 5th in opponents' points per game, giving up an average of only 16 points per game. Denver's ranked 32nd. They're giving up 36. They're almost giving up 40 points per game. Mm-hmm. So these are the key matchups that are going to be important. Denver's offense, which is ranked 16 in total yards against Kansas City's defense, ranked 9th in total yards allowed. So Kansas City's defense definitely gets the leg up when it comes to the Denver offense or Kansas City defense. What is Kansas City's weakness defensively Denver can look to exploit going into Arrowhead? It doesn't appear that Denver is going to be able to do that because this defense doesn't have a weakness. They're ranked 9th against the run and 11th against the pass. It's not like, oh, they got a really good pass defense, but you can run the ball down their throat. Like, this is a team that is very balanced, and Denver is going to need to be as balanced as Kansas City is talented on offense. They're going to have to run the football. They're going to have to be very, very assertive with that. They cannot get into a situation where they abandon the run game, and we'll get into that. But Denver needs to get off to a fast start. Denver's ranked 2nd in the NFL in points in the first quarter. Kansas City's ranked 10th. So Sean Payton has done a great job in the opening 3 possessions, like whatever he game planned for. Denver's going off and scoring on mostly 2 or 3 of their first drives. So Denver, I do have them being able to get a lead in the beginning of the game, but then it's pretty much all downhill from there because they don't play a complete football game. Kansas City is ranked 10th in second half points. So I think that will ultimately decide the game is if Denver can do what they have done in the first quarter, but consistently throughout the game, that's the only way I think Denver has a chance of winning this game. Now, here's another important thing. Kansas City's ranked 7th in the NFL in time of possessions. So getting Mahomes off the field is going to be huge. That's not easy because Kansas City's ranked 1st in third down conversion rate. Oof. And they convert on 51% of their third down. So part of that is making third down manageable, and you do that by effectively running the football on first down. Ask Philly or San Francisco. They lead the NFL on first down rushing plays. And Kansas City's 5th in the NFL on first down rushing plays. So Denver's going to need to stop the run defensively on first down in order to get a chance for Mahomes to maybe throw an incomplete pass on second down and make third down, 3rd and 10. But if Kansas City's able to go out of here and run the football to Pacheco for 6 yards on first down, you can forget about all of that. Yeah. If Denver is going to need to play their most complete game of the season offensively, they're going to need to play like the first quarter of the whole game. And then defensively, they're going to need to find a way to stop the run. Every team has been able to run all over Denver. And one last thing, Denver's going to need to score in the red zone. Last week, we had to settle for field goals a couple times in the red zone. That would have been the difference between a win against the Jets and a loss. So playing the Chiefs, all your field goals need to be touchdowns. And Denver's red zone scoring is 55%. Kansas City 63%. Denver's going to need to extend drives by converting on third down. Right now, Denver on third down is 39.2%. That is awful.
Oof.
It's absolutely awful. And a lot of that has to do with pre-snap penalties, getting yourself in 3rd and 12, and not being able to run the football. I don't think, like, in order to win this game, Denver's going to need to score 40 points. But I do think Denver is going to need to play their most complete, clean football game, penalty-free. They're going to need to run the football effectively with Jaleel McLaughlin. I want to see him play a big role in this game, and Javonte Williams as well. And once they're running the ball effectively, now you can get Russ to do some of that downfield stuff that they've been doing, because Denver's actually they're ranked like 10th in yards per completion, which is really just a testament to how many explosive plays a team has. So Denver's giving up 7 yards per play. This Denver defense is going to need to tighten up. The offense has what it takes to go back and forth with Kansas City. The question is Kansas City's offense going to end up putting a ridiculous amount of points on the board because of our defense? And I don't know, man. I'm gonna pick Denver to come away with the upset here.
Let's go.
Because if I don't pick Denver, I'm lying to myself. I really do believe, because this is the record. The most consecutive times a division opponent has beat the same team in a row, 15. Tom Brady beat Buffalo, I believe, 15 times, or it was the Jets. Nobody got 16.
The Patriots, have beaten the Jets, I think, 14 times in a row now.
Oh, that's what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So did I say Buffalo?
You said Buffalo and you said Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady in Buffalo is a record, though.
Yeah. Tom Brady dominated that division, so there's probably all kinds of, but nobody's won 16 in a row. Denver, looking to kind of change history here. This is getting really close to being, just embarrassing, historically embarrassing, and I think they want to avoid that. And I also think when you look at how Kansas City played close with the Jets, they made Zach Wilson look great. He threw for like 300 yards in that game, right? Against them. Yeah. Well, Denver shut Zach Wilson down to only 199 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So if one is better than 2 and 2 is playing 1, you get what I'm saying? Like, if Denver can do that to the Jets,
had a pick.
Surtain had a pick at the end. So I think this could be the game, man. I really do. I think this could be the game where they come out really fast, offense is going, and I think defensively they're going to have to play their best game of the season. And I think that's very plausible considering how bad they've played so far.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to not give up 500 yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I want to, when we stream this game, I just want #beat the streak, because that's what we're going to be rooting for tomorrow with the Broncos and the Chiefs. Beat the streak. Break it. Get rid of it, Russ. Russ and Sean and Surtain, you guys can do it. I'll be wearing my Surtain jersey, compliments of Kyle. So I will be rooting for the Broncos. I hope this pick goes Kyle's way instead of mine, just because Kyle's my boy, and I want to see him with a smile on his face.
Yeah, we need it, dude.
And not just after beating the Bears. Real quick, I want to say what's up to Tyler. Tyler said he's got Denver losing and Chicago winning. Cheers, Tyler. And we've got End World Hunger saying hi. Love the name. Love the name. Cheers to you as well.
Cheers.
All right. Next matchup begins Sunday early in the morning. We've got a third straight London game. We've got the Ravens at the Titans. The Titans technically at home in London. And both these teams coming off losses. The Titans losing against, God damn it, who was it? Who did the Titans lose against? Was it the Colts?
Last week?
Yeah, I think it was the Colts, right?
I think it was. No, they beat the Colts?
You're right. Then the Titans just lost to. No, they just did lose to the Colts. Oh no! Wait. Man. Oh wait, no. They lost to the Colts. No, they lost to the Colts.
Oh, they did.
They did. Yeah. That was the one Gardner Minshew won, and they held Henry to, like, I don't know, 40 yards rushing.
Yeah. They won.
Yeah, they
Sorry,
won earlier. They won the week before.
23-16.
Yeah, there you go. And the Ravens coming off a tough loss against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. Both these teams coming off losses. They're both traveling to London, so they're both going to have, there's no team with like, the extra added I've been here before in London or I've stayed in London, kind of like the Jags did last week. So both these teams traveling, both these teams, with the same situation. The only thing is the Ravens have a much better defense. And just to kind of show you what kind of defense they do have, the Ravens defense is second overall yards per game, third in passing, seventh in rush. Henry had probably one of his toughest games last week against the Colts, and that was a terrible rush defense. So I don't know how that exactly is going to go for Henry this game, but I'm picking the Ravens to be able to keep Henry at bay, and I think that might be the biggest factor in who wins this game. If they can keep Henry in check, then I think the Ravens steal a win in London. But with the way the offense was, drops by the receivers, by the Ravens, and the lack of rushing attempts by Lamar Jackson, this might be like a 3-4 point win for the Ravens. It's going to be a close one.
Yeah, and right off the bat, I was going to say I'm taking Tennessee to cover. Like that.
Okay.
That's my pick. Like if I had to do something with this game, it's Tennessee +4. I think if the Ravens do win, it's by 3 or less. So I like this number at 4. But if we're talking straight up, I think you got to go with the Ravens here. My gut is totally going towards Tennessee. I love Mike Vrabel on a neutral field as an underdog. It's going to be, you know what? I'm going Tennessee here, man. I think Tennessee, they've been very consistent with losing and winning and then losing and then winning. I think they've avoided back-to-back losses for the most part, which shows that this team is good coming off a loss. Some teams are just they get worse coming off a loss, and that's what starts those losing streaks. Yeah. Tennessee is pretty good about dusting off the pants, as Salo would say, right?
The pants.
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell.
So, yeah, I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think they're a tough physical team. And I think Baltimore is going to ultimately be fine, but I do think there's going to be some kind of panic, going on after this. Yeah. But it's just a tough football game. This is two teams that I believe in Mike Vrabel enough to say this could be like a wild card playoff game.
Cool. Like that. I like that. I mean, that AFC North with the Ravens, yeah, it's a tough division, and even the AFC South now, really, right? Like the Colts look good, the Jags look good, the Titans can possibly sneak in there, like you said. And I just need Lamar Jackson to get me more than 9 fucking points in fantasy, so that would be nice. All right, next up for the beginning of the stateside Sunday morning games, Commanders at Falcons. The Falcons coming off a dub against the Texans. It was a close game. Desmond Ridder never lost at home. He's gonna prove it if he could do it twice in a row in the NFL at least. Taking on a Commanders team where Sam Howell passed for, I think it was over 350 yards. He threw 51 times. The rush game was a little rough against the Bears on that Thursday Night Football, but the Commanders, I think, are a good team. I think they just, had a meeting with the Bears team that was playing with emotion. And the offense for the Bears luckily had the number for the Commanders defense. I still think the Commanders defense is good. They've got way too much talent to not be good, in my opinion. And the Falcons, I don't know if Desmond Ridder can do it for a second game in a row, especially with what I assume will be a lot of pressure up front from the Commanders. I'm taking the Commanders to beat the Falcons and Desmond Ridder at home for the first time in his career.
Yeah, it's a solid pick. Falcons pretty good at home. I'm going to keep riding with the Falcons here.
Ooh.
This is the Falcons and the Commanders I hate this game. This is my 2 dark horse playoff. So I really hate to see any of them lose because I'm really rooting for both of these clubs to sneak in. But Atlanta, they play good at home, and I think part of that swag is just knowing like, hey, I've never lost at home, and then it feeds itself. It's kind of like the Ravens preseason streak that finally broke this year. But do I think the Commanders are the team that can end it if they're really feeling themselves? No, I would save that for like the 49ers or Philly to come in and do it. I think right now I'm just going to roll with the hot team at home, and I hope Atlanta starts utilizing some of their weapons more. They have really, really good, talented people on the field when it comes to passing the ball or even pass attempts per game. Atlanta right now is ranked 26th, only attempting around 31 passes a game. So they're just not really passing the football, which we kind of knew there'd be a running team, which is fine as long as you're, getting a lot per game. But Atlanta's 20th in yards per game. They're getting 316 yards per game. That's actually right under Seattle and above Cleveland. Wow. So it's not terrible. When you look at Washington, they're 18th, though. So they're going to, I think, have more success offensively. So it really comes down to me, okay, who's going to be the best defense on the field? And when it comes to opponents' yards per game, Washington is ranked, I had it 25th, right?
Wow.
And that's not very good. Even though they have that great defense, they do surrender a lot of yards per game, it seems like. And you saw that in the Broncos game. You saw it in the Bears game. Just their corners, it seems like they kind of heat up towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
But
Atlanta's
7th in NFL opponents' yard per game. So you got to credit this defense, man. Top 10 in yards per game. I think Atlanta is going to run the ball effectively and play good defense. I think their defense comes up with the game-winning play in this one.
Oh, I like it. And Washington's got a rookie cornerback there. They had to sit him against the Bears because he was just getting torched. So that'll be a good matchup for Drake London. And then Kyle Pitts, like you said, Desmond and Ritter utilized them a lot last week. So hopefully he can do the same this week. Next up, we have got the Vikings going into Chicago. But they're Justin Jefferson-less in this week. And they're going to be like that for a few weeks. He went on the IR. Justin Jefferson not going to be a factor in this. But the thing is, Kyle, they got a rookie, Mr. Addison. I forgot his name. I forgot his number. I think he's like number 3 or something.
Jordan Addison.
From
USC.
From USC. They've got a weapon there. And, they've got Madison, too, at running back, even though he has been very underwhelming this year. The Bears coming off a very, very emotional win on Thursday Night Football against the Commanders, like we just said. Justin Fields is tied for 2nd or 3rd overall in touchdowns, by passing touchdowns by a quarterback. He's got 11. That's like with Josh Allen. We're talking with Mahomes, with all these guys. Like, he is up there in touchdowns, but that's because he's passed 8 in the last 2 games. The Bears need to do this again this week against the Vikings, because the Vikings, regardless whether they have Justin Jefferson or not, they've got KJ Osborne, they've got Addison, they've got Madison, they've got weapons there, and they've got Kirk Cousins at quarterback. He can't win big games, but he can produce numbers. That's what Kirk Cousins has been able to do very consistently throughout his career, especially with the Vikings. The big thing for the Bears is that the Vikings have arguably one of the worst defenses in the NFL. You saw they were able to they kind of just turned over on their bellies against the Chiefs last week, gave up the loss, and again, we credit the Chiefs defense to that. And I think the Bears defense is kind of getting there to where they're getting everything together, where they're starting to become a unit, a solid unit, at least in the last couple weeks. From what I've seen, yes, they lost to the Broncos late, and that sucked. But what they did at Commanders last week was just awesome. Now, the emotion played a huge part. Will another Hall of Famer for the Bears die this week? We don't know. We don't know if that's enough for this Bears team, but we'll figure it out. But I'm going to take the Bears, dude. I'm going to take the Bears at home because the Vikings are coming into this without Justin Jefferson. Yes, they've got weapons, but I think that might be enough for the Bears to be like, you know what? These guys are without their best player. Kirk Cousins can be stopped. We can run this offense against this terrible defense. Let's take advantage of it. Let's do what we've been doing the last 2 weeks. Let's get this win. Let's get DJ Moore another 3 touchdowns. Bears by a score. Bears by 7.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. The Bears right now are ranked 12th actually in NFL points per game because of that 40-point game last week.
Yep.
And Minnesota ranked 16th in 22 points per game. So you guys actually have more points per game than the Vikings, which is kind of a shocking stat.
Surprising,
when you think about how it's gone. But defensively, man, Chicago's ranked 29th in yards per game. They're giving up around 384 yards per game, and that's a lot. That's enough to even think that maybe Minnesota will be fine without Justin Jefferson. Maybe Jordan Addison has a big game. Minnesota's defense isn't that much better. They're ranked 19th, 342 yards. So, these are two kind of bottom half defenses going against each other. And one of the teams, man, is missing their star player, one of the best players in the league. And, Justin Fields coming off 2 30-point performances, like fantasy-wise, throwing 4 touchdowns in his last 2 games. So I'm going to ride with the hot hand here. There's no reason for me to, not take Chicago here. Like, what has Minnesota shown you that makes you so confident that they can, without their star wide receiver, go on the road and, take a win from a team that has don't they have the same record? Isn't Minnesota 1-4?
Yes.
So, I mean, forget what we thought in the beginning of the season. Like, that's not how it played out. Minnesota is going to have to fight really hard to get this win. So I'm going to go with the team that's riding high right now. I'm going to go with the quarterback that, is feeling himself instead of Kirk Cousins. And I love Kirk. I do. I think he's cool.
Yeah.
And I thought about picking the Vikings here, and they are favorited to win for what it's worth by 2.5 points. But I just disagree with that. I think the Bears are going to have a good game at home.
Let's go. 2 wins in a row for the Bears. Let's go.
It's overdue.
Oh, God.
At home.
If they could go on a 13-game win streak right now, that'd be fucking hot. All right, next game up. We have got one of the best morning games in Week 6. We got the Seahawks going to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. 2 really good teams. The Bengals really kind of getting back to the Bengals we all know and love after a great win last week, one in which Jamar Chase had all the fucking yards, one in which Joe Burrow looked like the Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl and in the AFC Championships, that Joe Burrow we saw last week and that Jamar Chase we saw last week as well. The Seahawks are coming into this after a bye week, so they're well rested. And they've got Geno Smith, they've got Kenneth Walker, they've got DK, they've got their other receiver, I can't remember, Lockett. I always forget Lockett's name. I don't know why. But they've got those guys, and they've got a defense that, let's be honest, man, not too bad, right? Like not a terrible defense. I guess in 24th in yards per game, touchdowns allowed 10, which I think kind of above average, if not like middle of the pack for the defense. They're going to have their hands full against the Bengals, and especially at home. I think with what the Bengals have done these last 2 weeks or so, last week and their last win, which was in week 3, I think they're going to be able to take this win at home because they're starting to get into what do all the analysts say, mid-season form, man. It's starting to become a fucking unit again. So I think I'm taking the Bengals at home to win this one against the Seahawks. Geno Smith, though, is gonna battle. He's gonna battle, but the Bengals, I think, are gonna win by. There's gonna be another 3 or 4 point game.
Yeah, it's a tough one because Cincinnati just finally put together, a normal game, but the narrative is Joe Burrow is back. The one thing that I'm looking at is T. Higgins had a fractured rib, and I'm still waiting to see if he's going to play or not. And I think he's the difference maker. So I'm keeping an eye on that. If T. Higgins plays, then I'm going to go with the Bengals here. But if it's no T. Higgins,
Oh,
then I think it might go the other way. So right now,
really?
T. Higgins is questionable. He
Ruh-roh.
was limited at practice Wednesday. So I think with this type of a game and this kind of a moment between, a Bengals team that kind of needs to get some momentum going, I think they play him. So yeah, I'm going to take the Bengals at home.
All right, there you go. Bengals fans, sound off in the comments. Let us know if the Bengals are back. Next game, we have got the undefeated 49ers going into Cleveland, taking on the Browns. I believe Deshaun Watson is cleared for this game. They just came off a bye week as well, so Deshaun Watson should be good to go in this one. We will double check that, although he looks questionable right now, but it is only Wednesday. We'll see. He's questionable now, but it is only Wednesday. 49ers came off an absolute whooping of the Dallas Cowboys. The Browns came off the bye week, and I think they went into the bye week with a loss, but that is because Deshaun Watson was out. But the defense didn't look great in that game either. They gave up a lot of points. They gave up the win, really. But I think we can blame that one on the offense, and especially with a guy at quarterback who maybe has played – that was his first game ever in the quarterback role in the NFL. And I forget his name at the moment. He had like 3 names. But the 49ers going to Cleveland might sound scary. It might sound scary for the 49ers, but I'm going to take them. I'm going to take them no matter what. They're going to go 6-0. They're going undefeated through week 6. As of now, the Browns might be one of the toughest teams they play so far in their schedule. The Cowboys, they have a very good defense, and yet somehow we're just absolutely demolished by them. What did I say? Absolute domination. But the Cowboys played like dog shit. So as much as I like the Browns with Deshaun Watson and their defense, I think the 49ers are going to come in and take a dub. And I think this is going to be another close one because there's actually so many good games here in week 6, but I think this is going to be another close one. It might be by 7 points that the 49ers win this game, and I think their defense wins it on a 2-minute drill with Deshaun Watson. They might get an interception, might get a fumble recovery, and I think that's how the 49ers win this one and go 6-0.
All right. So for me, upset alert, upset alert, upset alert.
Oh, no.
Upset alert. Upset alert.
49ers fans, what do you think of this?
Cleveland, when they have Deshaun Watson, one of the best teams in the NFL. It is very hard for teams to go undefeated, and they're traveling all the way to Ohio, coming off a win. They did play Sunday night, less rest time. It even changes how the week goes. Deshaun Watson, if he does play, I expect him to be healthy based on how long he's been resting. And man, I believe in this Cleveland team. I think this Cleveland team is maybe the best in their division. And I think this is a good measuring stick game for the world to see that.
So upset alert for Kyle. 49ers get their first loss of the season against the Browns. That's going to be very interesting. And obviously, stay tuned here at Only Football. We're going to be streaming that entire slate. Next game up, we've got an NFC South and an AFC South matchup. The Saints travel to Houston to take on the Texans. Saints coming off quite a fucking impressive win against one of the worst teams, too, in the NFL, the Patriots, but an impressive win nonetheless. The Texans coming off a very close loss against the Falcons. Again, the Falcons have not lost at home, at least with Desmond Ridder. But the Texans and C.J. Stroud, he has not thrown an interception yet. But this may be the week he does because the Saints defense is actually pretty damn good. They're pretty feisty. They with Derek Carr there, even though he has been hurt, he looked better last week, and they might be able to get a win here in Houston. I think the Saints are the better team, and the Texans and C.J. Stroud gets the interception late. Saints take the dub in Houston. I'm going Saints, baby.
This is my don't touch it.
Oh, shit.
This is my don't touch it. Now, we have to touch it, so we'll touch it. But I'm going to ride with the Houston Texans at home. D'Amico Ryans has this team playing inspired. I know the Saints are coming off a really, really big win, but I think they may be a little inflated and the Texans deflated because one team got a win and one got a loss. But remember, we were saying just the other day, like, man, this Texans team is good. This is not a bad Texans team. And, now you got them at home. You got the home crowd in your back. You got them believing. You got the team inspired. I'm going to go where all the juice is, and that's on the Texans side, I think. So I'm going to go the other way. I think it's going to be a close game, too close to call. But for our picks, I got Texans.
Kyle, just taking the hot hand, accepting his upset alert. I love it. All right. Next game up, we have got the Colts at the Jaguars, AFC South matchup. This might be for the division here. The Colts taking a dub with Gardner Minshew. Obviously, Anthony Richardson was injured again, but they took the dub with Gardner Minshew. It was a close one against the Titans, and the Jaguars coming off 2 straight wins in London. Trevor Lawrence in that offense, especially with Travis Etienne Jr., looking good, man, and that defense did its job against the Bills. The Bills did travel late, but again, you play where you have to play, you play who you have to play. The Jags took care of business, and yes, they got an advantage there by staying in London, but they did the work. They did the work and got the win. Colts coming into this, I think the Jaguars get their 3rd win in a row, and the Jaguars are going to be AFC South champs here with this win. I think this is kind of what puts the last nail in the coffin for the Colts, especially with no Anthony Richardson. The Jaguars take the dub, and I'm going to take them by 10 points here, Jaguars.
Wow.
Travis Etienne going to run all over the Colts.
All right. I'm thinking the Colts here. And the reason, I'll tell you why I'm thinking the Colts, is because this is a revenge game for Gardner Minshew, who had great moments in Jacksonville, and they traded him away for the quarterback he'll be facing. And I think that's a little bit of juice. I will be on the field to start the game during this game. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I actually just before we went live, I got my itinerary from them saying like, hey, we're going to come get you from your seats and all that. So it's going to be really cool. So every time I go to a Broncos game, they lose. I'm like a bad luck charm for the home team. So I'm gonna pick the Jags with you here, but just know that I may fuck this up for everybody by being there.
Oh no, Jags fans, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Real quick, you got Steve in the comments. Fact: bears do use white rabbits as TP when they dump in the woods. That's where we get brown rabbits from. Just saying. I love that stat, Steve. Cheers. Let's move on to the next game. We have got the Panthers at the Dolphins. The winless Panthers taking on a just absolutely terrifying Dolphins team. Offensive-wise, they got beat by the Bills. The Panthers, winless, got a rookie quarterback. have aging veteran wide receivers. The defense has some young studs there, but is that enough to take on the Dolphins offense, who is the fastest in the NFL apparently? No, not at all. This is one of those ones again from last week where I'm just like, don't overthink it. Take the winning team, especially in Miami. I'm taking the Dolphins to win at home by 14 points.
Damn, 14?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's pretty bold. That is pretty freaking bold.
I'm a bold man. I'm Mexican.
I got Miami at home by 20.
Whoa! You called me bold, you son of a bitch.
Miami at home by 20.
Even with Devin Achane gone, Kyle, you got him by 20?
Yeah, even with Devin Achane gone.
We're going to call him Achane. Let's call him Achane. That's so okay. That's such a fun name.
Thank you. Yeah, I was like, man, all right, fine. Achane.
Yeah, right. We're not going to fit the mold anymore. We're calling him Achane because it's fucking awesome.
It's so cool. and plus it's because Texas A&M website also said to call him Achane. So
exactly.
If anyone ever asks about it, we have that fallback. Be like, that's right. What it said on the Texas A&M website because I cared enough to look it up. You know,
Kyle, always getting the little details. I love it.
You got to get those details. But yeah,
get those details.
I think Miami. This might be the Claypool game. You know, we may get to see Claypool do something cool for the first time. God, dude, Miami at home. Yeah, it's going to be a disaster. Take an alternative line plus 20.
You think Claypool gets his second touchdown in the last year and a half that he's been in the league?
Was that shade? Because there ain't going to be 100%. No shade at the 100%. Miami visitor sideline. You got to be at home to get in the shade.
Fuck you, Claypool. All right, let's move on to the next game, which is going to be interesting to talk with Ross later on. We got the Patriots going to Vegas to take on the Raiders. Bill Belichick versus Josh McDaniels. We've got Mac Jones taking on Jimmy G. Ramondre Stevenson taking on Josh Jacobs. Max Crosby on one side. Judon on the other, although I think he's hurt. I'm not too sure. Regardless, Raiders coming off a Monday night win against a decent Packers team. Packers on a bye this week. A decent and team for the Packers. Patriots look like hot garbage. Raiders playing better than a lot of us expected. I'm taking the Raiders. This is one of those other ones that it's the coaching matchup that's probably the most intriguing part. But the players on the field are the ones who are playing the game. And I think the Raiders will easily outmatch the Patriots. But I still think it's going to be a close score. I'm going Raiders by 3.
All right. Patriots.
You.
I'm going with the Patriots here. I think that there's this thing where you just can't beat your dad up, man. It's not even healthy. It's like you say you want to win and nobody wants to win as much as you, and then you're like, I don't want to embarrass them, and you start having these thoughts, you know what I mean, these lingering thoughts. And I just think Belichick's coming off that terrible game, like he's gonna want to have his best game, you know what I mean, just to remind the world. I mean, think about it. Fast forward in your head to the end of Sunday. The Patriots won by 3. Is it really that shocking? You know, I get it. The Patriots fell apart last week. They played the Dolphins close. Like, you got to get rid of these, you know. Imagine if I judged every game based on the 70 points Denver gave up to the Dolphins. True. You know what I mean? True. You got to kind of compartmentalize these blowouts. Don't forget about them. They're important to know. This team fell apart. But you got to kind of move off of it and look at each game as a new week and a clean slate, because that's how the players are looking at it. I thought that the Raiders had no juice offensively. I do expect Devontae Adams to get back and put up like our wide receiver number 1 numbers. Okay. But I expect the Patriots defense to hold them to field goals instead of touchdowns, and then, get a last second field goal.
Maybe actually step it up once for Bill and this team. That'd be nice. Um, all right. And we're going to get Ross's take here in a few minutes. Next game, Lions at Bucks. The Bucks were coming off a bye week. The Lions are on a tear. I said that before last week against Thursday Night Football against the Packers. I said I think the Lions are about to go on an absolute tear, and I think that continues this week against the Bucks. Love Baker Mayfield. Love Rashad White. He's on my fantasy squad. Love Mike Evans. Love Vita Vea on that defense. I love the Bucks team. Even without Brady, with Brady, whatever, I loved them. But I think the Lions are just so much better of a team. They're a top team in the NFL. Top 5 if you guys were able to tune in on Monday, for our top 5. I had the Lions on there. And I think the Lions win again. Even if they're in Tampa Bay, I think the Lions are taking the dub against the Bucks. Kyle, what's your opinion on this game?
I got the Lions, and I don't even have to think hard about it. I got the Lions, and it's easy. But by the way, after last week, Sam Laporta is the number 1 tight end in fantasy football, above Travis Kelce. This Lions team, dude, is for real. They remember when we thought Tampa was good, and then they played Philly, and it was like, oh, they're not that good. Remember, Philly's still learning who they are with this new, stuff. The Lions already know who they are. This one may not even be close. Like right now, the Lions at 3. I think the Lions could win this game by multiple possessions.
I can totally agree on that, especially with what the Bucks did, or who the Bucks have played, the Bears, right, when they were really, really bad. So we got to look at that too.
Which was like last week.
2 weeks ago. Fuck you. The Lions, 100% top 5 team in the NFL, taking them. Next game, we've got the Cardinals at the Rams, 2 teams that have been very, very surprising this season. The Cardinals with Joshua Dobbs are getting some early wins with James Conner there as well. The Rams, Matthew Stafford, newcomer Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Oh, do you remember him? Do you remember Cooper Kupp? He was injured early, but now he's back.
I remember him.
I'm just making sure you remember him. He's back. This defense still has Aaron Donald. Like, they're still a very effective team. And I think I'm going to take the Rams in this one. Super Bowl champs. I'm taking the Rams against Joshua Dobbs and this Cardinals team. And I believe James Conner may be questionable. I'll double check that, Kyle. But, I'm going Rams all day.
Stop it.
Oh, no. There we go.
Sorry. Did you hear me scream, stop it?
I did.
So my dog was barking, and that click was supposed to be me muting my mic. And I turned my camera off and didn't mute my mic.
Yeah, so much for that.
Kyle's mean to his dogs. He even turns his camera off to yell at him.
What a piece of shit.
I'm with you on this one. I think the Rams are going to win at home. I think the Rams are maybe a little bit better than people think even still. But they're going to handle their business at home, and McVay's gonna win this game.
Yeah, Connor's on the IR, by the way, for all you guys out there with fantasy implications. He is on the IR. I'm sure you knew that, but just want to put that out
just
there
in case.
Just in case. That might even be better for the Rams. They don't got to worry about James Conner's angry ass. Last game of the afternoon slate, Eagles at the Jets. The Jets coming off some impressive wins. Last week was the Broncos, Kyle. I'm sorry to bring back bad memories. But 2 games in which the Jets looked good. And most notably, Zach Wilson looked pretty decent, right? Like, he looked pretty decent. He looked good against the Chiefs. He looked decent against the Broncos. Eagles 5-0, though. And while they're not as dominant as they were last year, they're still winning games. And they might, get it back on track here. As far as the dominance goes, the tush push, the little tush push, the little tushy of Jalen Hurts getting pushed there. I'm taking the Eagles to beat the Jets in New Jersey. Zach Wilson, I think, faces a very, very dominant defense for the first time in this early season, and he's going to take a huge L. Eagles by 10.
Yeah, and the Eagles right now in their point differential, they're plus 7.4. for instance, San Francisco's plus 19.8.
Oh my God.
And they won their last game by 32. They've won, on average, their last 3 by 23 points. So they're like blowing teams out, right? The only other team that's even close to them is Buffalo. Yeah. And then you get into your second tier, Dallas, Kansas City, Miami, Detroit, 9s and 8s. And then you get into your 7 and your 6. Your 6 is Baltimore, 6.8. You know who's 7.4?
Jets.
The Eagles. The Eagles are 7.4. So it does show that this Eagles team, not really in that other gap where they're like destroying their competition. So I think it is reasonable to think that Philly could control this game. They could win this game, and it'd still be a close game at the end with the way the Jets are playing. I like the Jets to cover, but I'm taking the Eagles to win.
Love it.
Because right now it's 7 points. I like the 7-point cover from the Jets. Maybe lose by 6. 20 to 26, something like that. I think that's a lot more likely than taking the Eagles to win by a touchdown or more.
So according to Kyle, the Eagles are again the only undefeated team left in the NFL after Week 6. Let's move on to Sunday Night Football. Giants at the Bills. The Giants.
We're not doing this.
For some reason, like they're still on primetime for some reason. Like, I don't get it. But the Bills, this is gonna be an easy win for Josh Allen and the Bills. They're coming off a loss against London. They're gonna be back at it this week. They'll be fine. I'm taking the Bills by 1 million.
The Bills are favored to win this game by 14 points. This is the NFL, so I always like somebody to cover when it's that ridiculous. 14 points. I get it that the Giants have been really, really bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they have the worst point differential in the NFL.
They've got the worst everything in the NFL.
Minus 18. They're losing by average by 18 points a week.
Jesus Christ. Sorry, Bill.
So yeah, maybe that 14 is fine. I wouldn't touch it either way. It's like too much needing to happen. Yeah. But the Bills should win this game straight up. They really have no business losing at home to the Giants team. But it's the NFL, man. Yeah, to think that you're just going to win by 14. No, I don't know about all that. They might, and it wouldn't shock me. But the opposite is also true. The Giants could lose by 10, and I wouldn't be shocked either.
Exactly. I'm taking Bills by 1 billion, though. Taking Bills by 1 billion.
Taking Bills. So Rick taking the Bills to win by more than 14 points. We'll be streaming that game live, and we'll definitely revisit this conversation.
100%. Bills will score 75 on the Giants. Last game up before we get to Ross. Monday Night Football, the Cowboys at the Chargers. Cowboys coming off the worst loss of the season against the 49ers. The Chargers, I think, were losers, or were they in their bye week? I think they came off their bye week, if I'm not mistaken.
You heard it here first. The Chargers are losers.
Chargers are down. They're coming off a bye week. Cowboys coming off a loss. Herbert versus Dak Prescott. This defense of the Cowboys won a redemption game.
What a great football game.
And this is going to be a good one for Monday Night Football. Are the Cowboys going to cowboy, or are the Chargers going to charger? I think the Cowboys are going to cowboy again, and I'm taking the Chargers at home in LA, baby.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cowboys. This is a revenge game for Kellen Moore, the new offensive coordinator for the Chargers. Cowboys coming off a disgusting loss. They're probably more excited than any team to get back on a football field. Yeah. I think they're going to have some good energy out there. I'm taking the boys to win on the road. And then the Cowboys are back in the conversation about being a good team again.
You heard it here. Kyle likes boys on Monday night. All right.
Men. No.
That was our Week 6 predictions. And as always, we will be here streaming all those games from Thursday Night Football to Sunday to Monday Night Football to make sure tune into Star 6 Media to catch all those streams with Kyle and I. Up next, we have got a guy I've got a bone to pick with. We've got Ross, the Pats fan, and if you've been a fan of this channel and this podcast for a while, you've seen he's had an interview with Kyle before talking about the Pats. Ross, what's up, man? How you been? You're on mute, by the way. We can't really hear you. Sorry.
It always auto selects mute. You got to unselect it. Guess better safe than sorry.
Yeah. Still nothing, Ross, but we'll get you in here in a bit.
This is exactly how the Patriots offense has been so far this season. There's just nothing there.
And he's giving the thumbs up, unfortunately. you see the pain in Ross's face. We're going to get his audio fixed here in a bit. But we're going to talk to Ross about the Pats and what's been going on and why I say I've got a bone to pick with him. You know, I put up a video about the Bears winning, beating the Commanders on Thursday Night Football just a couple weeks ago or so. And they put up the 40 points. Justin Fields looked really good. And he commented, "Wake up. They are not good. They have not improved. It's been one game, this and that." All right, Ross.
Is that his tone? Or
Let's see. Unmute yourself there from your little window. There you go. Nope, still nothing.
You see where it says, do you see though where it says mute on the bottom of the screen?
Yeah, he's got that. He's got that unmuted. Let's see if I can edit your mic. Hold on. Try now.
That'd be funny if it's really you the whole time.
It's Rusty.
There
oh
we
my
go.
God, it
Rusty.
was Rick.
There we go. You're good. So it's Rusty. You're right. I gotta.
It was Rick's fault, and he was blaming you.
That's classic. That's classic Bears false hope Justin Fields mentality, right?
So Rusty, we got you back on Only Football. We figured out the mic problem. First of all,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Hey, welcome to mediocrity, though.
No, we're past mediocrity, bro. I'm in Bears country now.
Let's talk about the matchup in Week 6, though. The Patriots or Raiders, Belichick versus McDaniels. What do you think is going to happen? Kyle had the Patriots. I had the Raiders. What break the tie here?
I mean, you look at the analysis and you want to look at what does each team do well? Like the Raiders, what do they do well? I mean, Max Crosby gets after the passer, and Devontae Adams is a savage. That is pretty much the end of the story.
Yeah, that's about it.
You flip it to the Patriots, especially since Gonzalez, Torres, Labrum, and Judon has been put on IR. And what do the Patriots do well?
Coaching?
Maybe they can stop the run. Maybe.
Allegedly.
The bottom line is the Patriots don't do anything well. The good news is that the Raiders aren't much better. I'm interested that you put me on the spot here to pick this game because to me, like this game in context, it really doesn't mean what we thought it would mean. This is like a get right game for both teams. And there used to be a saying around New England, back in the heyday where, you call it the tomato can. No, 5 years ago. You call them the tomato can games, right? You look at the schedule and you just knock them all over.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like a great sports talk radio caller that chimed in. He goes, you look at this schedule and I can't find any tomato cans. And you know what? When you can't see the tomato cans, odds are you're the tomato can.
Yep.
We are the tomato can. So this is tomato can on tomato can. And I mean, you want me to pick it? My advice to real gamblers is stay away. I think both teams suck so bad. It's really hard to predict. I would be shocked if the Patriots had like a bounce back revival game. I don't think they're doing anything right. I don't think it's right in the building. I don't think the chemistry is right. We all know the offense is a complete train wreck. It's somehow gotten worse since Beavis and Butthead left on offense.
Yep.
And defensively, they're down on personnel so bad. I look at what the Raiders do, and it's like, all right, we'll just throw a bunch of people at Devontae Adams. Well, then Jacoby Myers, friend of the program, guy we probably should have just forked up another, $400,000 and fucking paid, excuse my language, instead of going after Juju. We call him Juju Sanu in Boston. Like again, my point is, I think the Raiders have more weapons. Raiders have a functional thing that like they're excited about, where their team's playing together, and the Patriots have none of that. So if you put a gun to my head, I would say Raiders win, and it would take a gun to my head for me to pick this game.
Yeah,
that's
kind. I agree with all that. And one thing that the Raiders aren't terrible at is first quarter points. If you look at first quarter, they're ranked 12th.
No better team to get a lead on than the Patriots.
Yeah, and the Patriots in first quarter points is 29th. And then in the second quarter, though,
it goes back.
Yeah, the Patriots are the better team. The Raiders are the worst. So what about third quarter? Well, the Patriots are 31st and Las Vegas is 31st. They're tied for last with 0.6.
Wow.
You know, I got to tell you guys. You guys clearly don't have a Belichick run operation. You're playing checkers and we're playing chess. You want to be the worst team in the league out of the gates, giving up points. And then after halftime, you want to be the worst team in the third quarter, giving up points. And if you're not doing that, then you don't know what you're doing, and you're a jabroni and don't belong in the league. Oh, wait. We're the worst team in the league. Like, we're right up against the Bears right now. It's scary.
What about you're up against the Panthers? Slow down. You're up against the Panthers. The Bears got a great win last week. I want to know here, what the fuck do you do with Mac Jones? You've got Bailey Zappi, and all of New England was probably cheering, you included, when Bailey Zappi came in late last week against a terrible team against the Saints.
When I interviewed Rusty, he totally told me that all of the fans that were cheering for Zappi or wanting Zappi to come in didn't know football. They didn't understand football. They didn't know. So I already know, and I'm excited about to see where. So I'll let you finish your question, but I had to add that in there because I'm curious to see if anything's changed or if we're still on the same page here.
So then, with that being said, what the hell do you do here with two quarterbacks who are basically useless in this Patriots team?
So Rick, it's your guys' show, so stop me if I'm going completely off the rails. But I love Kyle's memory here. He's got the memory of an elephant. Kyle, what did I tell you about Belichick when we last spoke?
That if he didn't have a winning season by the end of this year, that he was going to be gone.
And what did I tell you that I would have done with him years ago?
Belichick?
God, I watched this, and I'm starting to...
You would have moved him to...
I would have fired his ass. Years ago because it's been a mediocre football operation. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so Kyle's got the context. Rick, I appreciate that you tuned in and you caught it. But the bottom line is, I think the narrative, everybody wants to talk quarterbacks. Here's my thing with Jones, and this is a new development. This is part of why I reached out to Kyle, or whichever. I lose track of Kyle and Rick, who I was texting, because I know I talked to Kyle. So I texted Rick, but I talked to Kyle, and then I ended up doing
the decency to know who he's texting.
No, I did text him after the. I texted him after the podcast. So
anyway, I've been backing Jones. I've been backing Jones for a while. Not saying he's outright the guy like many Bears fans would do with Justin Fields. I've been backing him. I've been backing him, saying, everybody take a deep breath. Right, this guy. Yeah. He looked great. He looked great as a rookie. He showed that he can be cerebral, read a defense, get the ball out, make decisions, do the mental part of being a quarterback, even though we think he's average physically. But we still don't know what he is because he hasn't had real weapons. Last year, he didn't have a real coordinator. Everything was kind of thrown up. And now Patriots people will tell you, Billy O'Brien's coming in. Everything's going to be fixed. Yeah. Well, Billy O'Brien, he's really part of the old and not part of the new. It's been actually worse under him. I'm not a big nerd stat guy. I know that Kyle's aware of that. But all the nerd stats point the Patriots out as like 32nd in wide receiver separation and 32nd in pass protection. So I'm feeling for the quarterback here, who's not a physical athlete that can make his own opportunities. And he drops back and he sees nobody open, and he sees these absolute monsters in the NFL coming to kill him. And he's making horrible decisions. And I'm thinking to myself, how can you blame the quarterback for that? That doesn't mean he's wrong. It means our whole operation's wrong. And that's still true. But last week, since the loss, he leaked information out through his camp that I think the quote was, even the best chef in the world can't make a plate of garbage taste good. And it's not that we disagree with that. And anybody who knows ball and watches tape can see that. So to me, it was a really kind of tacky, low self-esteem. I don't have confidence in myself. I don't like what people are saying about me. I'm a sensitive little Nancy, and I don't have what it takes to really survive and be a franchise quarterback in this league. So I'm going to leak it because I'm going to play the media game because I'm focused on my next opportunity, because what's going on inside the building in Foxborough is so toxic. I know I'm on my way out there. And so I flipped there. So I had been defending Jones and saying clean house and try to give Jones a chance. And now I'm at the point where it's clean house and also, get Jones out of here. And I would love to see Jones go win a Super Bowl somewhere else. I think he would be doing, and this is his take, I heard Orlovsky say this, and I think others have said it. I think he would do fine in an operation like one of the top teams like San Francisco, with all the talent, all the scheme, all the blocking, all everything. When everything's great, he's awesome. And I could see him doing that, but he's in a toxic scenario now. It's really funny to me, right? I think the national narrative on Jones since he entered the league, his rookie year, he was so great. He was so good, right?
Playoffs.
Everybody said, could he have landed in a better place? Like Jones, he landed in the perfect place. You got great structure, you got the best coach, you got this and that, and now we're saying the complete opposite. And so it's really scary. All my notes are really about Patriots transition plan. I thought that's what you guys might be interested in.
Well, let's get into that.
About whatever you guys want to talk about.
No, let's get into the. Go ahead, Kyle.
I do have one question I wanted to ask. Can you hear me all right, by the way? All right. So the Patriots red zone scoring percentage is actually 9th. So they're top 10 in the NFL in red zone. And I was like, okay, so is the issue that they're not running the football? I look at how many rushing yards they're getting. They're 26, so bottom half. My question is kind of 2 parts. So one, is a lack of a rushing game the reason that you're taking fewer trips to the red zone? And why? I had Ramondre Stevenson being maybe the top back in fantasy football this year. And then they bring in Ezekiel Elliott, and it's people are worried about it, but then Bill O'Brien's Zeke's a 3-down back, and we're like, well, what does that mean for Ramondre? What is the problem with the running game in Boston?
So Kyle, I think we talked about my disdain for fantasy the last time we connected.
Yeah.
However, the reason I'm hysterically laughing right now is, they're 9th in the league in red zone. Did you look at the denominator of some of those stats?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They've only been in the red zone 5 times.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And that's why I'm like, what gives? Why can't they get down there if they're not running the football?
No. They get there once a game, and it's usually because of a blocked punt or somebody fumbled the snap or some BS from the other team being a failure.
Is it so? This is the worst offense in the NFL.
I believe that. I haven't seen a worse one. I have not seen a worse one.
Damn near close.
The Giants.
The scariest thing, gentlemen, is that week 1 showed a little bit of promise. They were up against a much better personnel team, the Eagles. They hung in there. They were a rookie mistake and maybe let's pay Jacoby Myers instead of Juju Sanu away from having a chance there with time expiring to win the game on the last drive.
Then Miami.
Then they play Miami. Good game plan. Hang in the game late. Have a couple chances to win it. Jump ball to Devontae Parker, who in New England, they think Devontae Parker is an 80-20 jump ball guy, apparently. But everybody who's ever watched him practice in Miami for 6 freaking years knows that Xavier Howard is his daddy. And it's not even funny. It's guys around Miami, they don't even joke about it. They're like, we used to see it 5 days a week in practice. And we know what's good over there. They don't give any help to Xavier Howard when he's lined up with Devontae Parker, because Devontae Parker, newsflash, blows. And Belichick gave him extra money in preseason just to pay off this they've done these things where they pay off these veterans for loyalty so that maybe the locker room doesn't turn. And it's all part of this horrible, horrible, horrible Belichickism that's gotten to be a very poisonous thing around the barn. So you ask about the red zone, Kyle, and my point is you're completely, you're what's the line? You're missing the forest through the trees or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they suck in the red zone because they suck everywhere. And like the running game, dude, you know what it takes to run the ball? It takes a little scheme. It takes offensive linemen that know how to block but get on the field.
But they had that last year. So where is it?
Offensive line's gotten worse. Injuries have gotten worse. And like the offensive line, it's a disaster. Trent Brown's checked out. Cole Strange can't get on the field. Mike Owenu, who was their best lineman last year, all of a sudden sucks. It's not all of a sudden. He had tough like preseason injuries, didn't get to practice. Now he's playing guard and tackle, and they're shuffling things around. They've got Adrian Clem at offensive line coach instead of the legend Tate Scarnecchia, who was part of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's just like nothing really works. They can't block anyone. Nobody gets open. They can't run the ball. Jones has been having so far 2 back-to-back meltdowns. I mean, his performance in that game, his performance in that game, in that Cowboys game, to me, that was the worst game he's ever played by a mile. And I was like, okay, like let's bury the ball on this one. Let's see what happens next week. And it was a little bit more of the same. But I've never seen him melt down like he did against the Cowboys. And I think he's at a point where, whether it's his people in his camp talking in his ear, being like, dude, you can't succeed here. There's no blocking. There are no weapons. There's no scheme. There's no this. Like, you are set up to fail. All facts, by the way. But it's interfering with his ability to actually compete for his teammates. And there's been Colin Cowherd rumors. I don't know if you guys have heard this about how teammates don't like him. The coaches don't like him. The Cowherd line was he doesn't have many friends in the building. And then
was it followed up by some metaphor?
Right. He's the tuna fish trying to fit into a PB&J.
Yeah.
But he had that leak on like Friday before the last week's game, and like before that Saint game. And I was like, when I heard it, I was like, I even tweeted about it. I was like, you know what? Like, I love Cowherd, but like he's definitely never been a New England guy. Juju Sanu is a USC guy who's been on his show. I feel like Juju's kind of texting with him, being like, I don't like Mac. Juju hasn't really been part of the whole offseason program. If you've watched any of Juju's snaps and targets, he's completely out of sync with the quarterback. There's zero chemistry there. And so I basically said, Juju's polluting Colin, and this is a bad take. Then we see the game on Sunday, and I'm like, you know what? That's why Colin's doing what Colin's doing, and I'm broadcasting here from, this beautiful Chicago bedroom. So,
damn right, beautiful Chicago. You're goddamn right, Rusty.
I love Chicago.
Right.
I love Chicago, Rick. I really do. It's beautiful. It's the only place I want to live.
So let's go into the transition plan, like you said, right? Like you wanted years ago, you wanted Belichick gone. Mac Jones seems to be someone who can get you there, but he needs weapons, he needs protection. What's this transition plan you got concocted for us for the Pats? And if Bill Belichick's listening, which he totally is, tuning into this show,
100%.
This is what's going to happen right here. Go ahead.
All right. So the big item here is like, will Robert Kraft, will he fire Belichick? And that's the question. That's what everybody's talking about. Or is he going to let him hang around and like
senior advisor, just
drain it out until he passes Shula? Are we all familiar with the film Gladiator?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So at his core, right, Kraft, other than being a businessman and other things, right? But like at his core, the way that he runs the team is he is all about public perception, being the good guy. At times I've even called him a star bleeper. He likes his celebrity shout outs, Meek Mills. He likes Tom Brady, birthday party invites.
You talking about Robert?
What's that?
Robert
You talking about
Kraft.
Kraft?
Robert Kraft. Yeah.
Robert Kraft, the owner,
Oh,
right?
dude, you
So
should have checked our conspiracies of the week. Last week, it was about how Robert Kraft and Michael Jackson had that tour, and that's how he became the owner. Check it out, because it's all about how he likes hanging out with celebrities, and
Yep.
he worked for the newspaper too.
So I'll
I'm gonna
have to
grab
get
a
back
beer.
to that, and I'm sorry I wasn't prepared on that. But basically, it goes. The reason I reference Gladiator out of the gates here, Rick,
Yeah.
is it's right. Win the people, and you'll win your freedom.
Yep.
And so for a while, entering the season, the majority of Pats fans, and again, you look at any like fan population, and this is just my opinion. You guys tell me if you agree or disagree, right? But there's about 50% pink hats that really just like the logos. They're born in the region. They do what they do. Then there's 50% fans who like know the sport, know what's going on. And then within that 50%, there's maybe 10% that are like plugged in and really give a hoot and like are all the way nerding out like the three of us.
Yep.
Exactly. And so amongst that whole grouping, especially the pink hats, the take going into the year was in Bill we trust. He'll figure it out. We've got O'Brien. Everything's going to be fixed. And after the disastrous Dallas and New Orleans games, the people have shifted. And so that's where Kraft will shift because he cares more about what the fans care about than what he doesn't like. He cares about, relationships, trust. He cares about also his legacy. And like a big part of his legacy is him sticking his neck out and hiring Belichick in the first place, sacrificing a first round pick that turned into an actually excellent defensive end, Sean Ellis for the Jets back in 2000. But my point is, he's always backed Belichick because that's been the popular thing. But now in New England, it's not. It is no longer, especially after this New Orleans game, the back-to-backs. The fan base has shifted, and Kraft is going to follow the fan base. Belichick's lost the crowd, and he's lost his freedom. And so where we get concerned is what happens next. And so what I'm very nervous about is a term I want to credit Boston Sports Journal's Mike Giardi on this term, which is institutional arrogance, which is a good term to describe maybe the region, but definitely the organization. Definitely the organization where you look across the league and it's, turnover breeds inconsistency, stability breeds success. That's the kind of mentality that the owners try to pretend they're back. But if Belichick's built this whole thing over 20 years, unlike any other of the 31 other teams. And so there are all these different layers of nepotism and like BS hires and yes men and people that are, we call them fobs, friend of Bill. And so it's all fobs up and down the organization. So if you ask Bill, who's head of, again, he's not just the coach, he's not just the GM, he's the Führer. He is the complete dictator of, again, it's not about pursuing, genocidal objectives, but
I hope not. Shit.
Again, we're talking about pure football operations. We're not talking about geopolitical science. But my point is, if you get rid of Bill, now you've got two of his kids on staff. Now you've got Matt Groh, who's the son of his former like best friend Al Groh, who used to be one of the defensive assistants with the Giants and then the Browns and all the way up, like one of his best friends. He's got his best friend's son running personnel. And then you have Gerard Mayo, who's sort of the coach in waiting, unofficially, officially. And so getting rid of Bill means, okay, now Matt Groh's in charge of personnel, and now Mayo is the head coach who gets to hire his DC and his OC. And what do you do with O'Brien? Well, I think O'Brien's going to run away and maybe get a job at Michigan State. That seems to be like budding news.
Tucker's out.
But from the Kraft's mentality, they're like, oh, what makes us different from the other owners is we follow consistent plans and we're not just going to flip everything upside down. And that's their own institutional arrogance. What I would like is I'd like to just completely clean house. And it's no knock on Mayo. It's really not a knock on Groh and the other guy. It's just like you are part of the problem right now. And if you're worth anything, you'll find another job. You'll spend a year or two doing something else. You'll find your footing. I think Mayo could be a great head coach. But I just want and I joked earlier about playing chess versus playing checkers. It's been a budding joke amongst Patriots fans. We're done playing chess. Let's play checkers. Hire a GM that you trust and believe in that works with the owner.
Yep.
Have the GM hire some, jabroni, McVay, Shanahan, Sharpied on beard, borderline porn star looking offensive coordinator that comes from one of these trees, right? Hire that guy to be the head coach and implement his entire system with all of his assistants. Hire some crusty old bastard to run the defense. And let's see how it goes from there. Because honestly, the players on the field across the 53-man roster, they're not that bad. It's more about the budget management, where the money's spent, especially on offense. It's not a matter of not spending money on these dud receivers. It's the fact that I would rather chop them all out, get rid of all that money, spend big money on one guy, and then try to find and draft some role guys to fill in underneath. We've got just this pile of suck that are all overpaid. They can't really do a damn thing. And it's been a real disaster from the top down. So my vision is clean house and play checkers. I'm afraid that the Kraft's vision is stability, and it'll be Mayo, and it'll be Grow, and it'll be more draft picks like N'Keal Harry and Tyquan Thornton, and more addressing needs that aren't needs, and more ignoring horrible problems in the roster.
So then, with that being said, do you just want from the head coach up clean slate, or do you want the entire team, GM, head coach, quarterback, defense, Ezekiel Elliott gone? Do you want that?
GM and down.
Well, it starts at the top, but so from a head coach and coaching staff and personnel, one of my biggest beefs has been the scouting department, and I don't know if the problem in New England's been the scouting department being inept, or if it's been Belichick overruling them because he gets recommendations from college coaches that are fobs, friends of Bill. I don't know if that's been the problem or not, but like that whole scouting operation is a disaster. It's got to be cleaned out. Second point is the coaching staff. Now that depends on the route that they take. Again, I just laid out the checkers plan. I say get some fancy pantsy boy offensive coordinator guy to be the head coach. Hire some crusty old guy, that sounds like Vic Fangio. Have him play the defense. And like the personnel, again, you mentioned the quarterbacks. I'm done with Jones. Zappe's not a franchise quarterback. I think Jones is somewhere between, Jones is probably somewhere between the 20th and 40th best quarterback in the league. So like I'm okay. Like my thing with Jones is not that he can't play in the league. It's that he's done here. Like what's happened here and how it's gone down here. It's become way too toxic to cling to. So I don't want to like go crazy and say we need the quarterback now because we have so many other needs. So why don't we start to build like the rest? Why don't we start to construct the rest of our roster more like good teams? Like the 49ers, stop spending money on long snappers out of Navy that have the most guaranteed contract money in the history of long snappers that have already made 4 bad long snaps in a 5-week season. Maybe stop signing free agents like Chris Board, who covers punts and kickoffs when they happen literally like once a game, and he's making enough money that could be like a solid backup tight end. Maybe stop doing all this like stupid Belichick bullshit. Excuse my language.
Okay.
And like get back to playing checkers. So that's kind of the overall take, but I do think that it's more likely than not. So if it keeps going as poorly as it's gone, the decision is going to be made for Kraft, and he and Belichick are going to have to settle in a room, and they're going to have to release a statement. They'll make it friendly. It won't be a midseason firing. That's not going to happen. But if it keeps going like it is, which I'm kind of 50-50, part of me thinks they'll like salvage this season and make it look good towards the end. But part of me also sees the bottom falling out. Like there's real problems with the trust between players and coaching staff, players, offense and defense. The injuries are piling up. The offensive line sucks. And like it was okay. It was supposed to be a strength of the team, but then a couple injuries, there's no depth. And like I don't know if you've caught this at all, Rick and Kyle, but sorry for rambling and ranting here, but and obviously chaps my ass because it's just like there have been so many signs on the wall. And last time I talked to Kyle, I was like, we got problems. We need to address them the right way. We need to do this and that. And then at every single fork in the road since Kyle and I talked, we've gone the wrong fork. And so now we're so much worse off. And I feel like it's just digging a deeper hole that we need to climb out.
Yep.
So it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. And I think there's a 50-50 chance that there's that, parting of Belichick at the end of the year. I'm pretty sure it would take a really miraculous disaster to just clean house and follow my plan. Mm-hmm. But I think more likely than not, they basically suck. They're somewhere between 4-13 and 5-12. And there's a Belichick Kraft powwow in some press conference, and Belichick rides off into the sunset, and he lets go of that stupid little Shula thing.
So Kyle, you got one last thing for Rusty here because he's got a Bruins loss to get to.
Yeah. So the last thing I'll say is the one good thing is that my team has been sucking since Manning retired. So every coach that I've seen come in has fired everybody. And a great example is last year, Evero, the defensive coordinator for the Broncos, was like one of the best in the NFL. This defense was legit. And you see what's happened in just 1 year with Vance Joseph, worse in the NFL. But even like in his case, he wasn't even willing to stay because his loyalty was in Nathaniel Hackett. So even the coordinators because normally a head coach comes in, fires everybody, even guys where you're like, what did he do? It's not about what he did. He's part of the old. We are the new. We're bringing in a breath of fresh air. So I do think you're going to get your wish when somebody does get hired. Like, I'm not worried about, Mayo or Belichick's son. Like, when Belichick's fired, all of them are fired. And I think it's going to be clear when a new guy comes in and fires all of them, because that's kind of how like 99% of head coaches do. Like, they're like, I can't win if I don't have my people, and these aren't my people. And like you said, if Belichick's way is really outdated and old, none of these new offensive porn stars are going to come in and be like, let me keep Gerard Mayo and Belichick's son. You know what I mean? Absolutely.
From this to this, right?
And I'm going to cheer you up in 1 second.
Fat bottom girls.
Fat bottom girl Jackie. This was at the grocery store. It's a Halloween beer. Cheers.
There you go. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers, Rusty.
Yeah. Hey, well, thanks for having me on. Kyle, I like I hope you're right. My point is, like, I know there's uncertainty in that kind of change and like ripping the roots out. You're entering sort of an unknown. I'll take the unknown from the known suck that like we're heading down. So
the Texans were in an unknown, and look at them now.
Yeah.
Let's take it easy on the Texans.
Well, I believe in D'Amico Ryans as a coach. I was like very big on him, like when he was a candidate.
I like his style. I loved him as a player, but you know what? We in the media, us media people, we like to fall in love week to week, right? Let's 100%. Check back on D'Amico Ryans and the Texans 10 weeks from now. But I get your point, and like ripping everything out, I think you pretty much have like 1 in 3 of those kinds of moves really work. So it's more likely than not that replacing the whole thing will bring in some jabronis that screw it all up and suck also. That's more likely than not. I'm okay with that. Like, I've accepted the risks of that, right? Like, I'm not pretending like the next guy is going to come in and all of a sudden rebuild this. I know what's already happened isn't going to happen again. Like, we all need to make our peace with that. And so what where I'm at is like, let's start taking risks. Like, let's start taking risks and let's get off of this thing, because it's not, and this is my closing point. And I know we're probably running late, but Kyle, my thing is, it's not that the game's passed Belichick by, it's that Belichick has passed football by. he's so ingrained in what he does. He's got his ego is now completely out of control.
His buddy Nick Saban's about to go through the same thing with the college portal.
Yeah.
Okay, multi-dimensional topic there, but what Belichick's proven at every single step of the demise here over the last 3-4 years is that his pettiness and his insecurities going into these personnel decisions, like, oh, Jacoby Myers expressed some disinterest in how the team was being run. Oh, let's go get Juju Smith-Schuster. We'll just replace him. He's replaceable.
And that was the answer.
Turns out he's not. Turns out now we convert a third down because we don't have Myers, and it wouldn't have cost a lot of money. And that's just the most obvious example of a million others. And so it's just it's the pettiness, it's the petulance, it's the way he treats the media. All those things, they're all kind of symptoms that point to the same cause of the problem, which is you've got a guy that's running the entire thing that it's really all about him. And so far, right, on the big sample, right, that's been excellent. But now there's a big enough sample that says it's time to go. And I was on it a while ago, Kyle, and now it's just again, back to the gladiator reference. He's lost the people and he's lost his freedom, and I don't really see a world where he's back next year. I don't unless they find a way to finish 7-10 and win 5 out of their last 8 games. I don't see it.
And there you go, everybody. You heard it from a Pats fan. Belichick, his past football, get rid of him, start all over, let's take risks. All I got to say, Rusty, as a Bears fan, welcome to mediocrity, baby. Welcome to mediocrity. It's good to have you. What is that? Misery loves company. And it seems like a lot of people in the comments like your company as well.
Never agree that you're mediocre. You're not.
You're right. The Bears for a while were, but now they're on a 13-game winning streak here in a bit.
We need Deion Sanders to be the next head coach of the Patriots. Let's get weird with it. Let's get weird with it.
Rusty, thank you for coming on, and we hope to have you back. Talk more Pats. See how the season progresses, man. Thanks for coming on.
Fellas, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me. God bless. Keep up the good work, and I'll be tuning in.
All right. Cheers, Rusty. Cheers. All right. That was Rusty, the Pats fan. You heard him. Get rid of Belichick. Start over. And real quick, I just want to say what's up to Ginger. Ginger's in the chat. What's up, you sexy motherfuckers? Fucking love you guys. I'm drunk.
Cheers. Behind me?
Cheers. All right, Kyle. Let's get into our next segment. Let's get into our next segment of favorite matchups for week 6. Do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I like when you go first.
Oh, I bet you like when I go first. Okay. Damn it. Where did I have it?
You're disgusting. You are so gross, dude.
Oh man. Okay, so my and I kind of mentioned this earlier. Oh my god. One of the things I'm looking forward to this week, one of my favorite matchups, is going to be what happened with the Saints last week against the Patriots. Their defense was able to just lock down Mac Jones, that Patriots offense. And yes, they were able to do it against a very bad team, but now they're going up against CJ Stroud, Mr. No interceptions through 5 weeks. What I'm curious to see, and what my favorite matchup is going to be, is CJ Stroud against this secondary for the Saints, to see if, like I said, he's going to throw his first interception of the season. We saw how he lost last week, CJ Stroud. That offense with Stroud and the Texans was held to only, I believe, 3 field goals through 3 quarters, and they were only able to score a touchdown there in the 4th. So is that a sign of him starting to slip? Maybe it's starting to get a little weak on the offense. Who knows how that's going to go? But that's my matchup of the week. Is CJ Stroud going to throw his first pick against the secondary of the Saints? Find out on Sunday.
I like that one. That's a good one. Mine is not going to surprise you. The Denver Broncos in the second quarter versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Broncos, I mentioned it earlier if you're just tuning in now, but they were number 2 in the NFL in first quarter points. So Denver able to get off to these really amazing starts. And what I think it is Sean Payton's got some kind of package to start the game with, where he's like, these are our first 10 plays. Yeah, we know Sean's got a package. We saw it. But he goes, okay, here's our first 20 plays. And I think he watches film till crazy hours in the morning. I think he really finds like these plays that work. But then once the team makes adjustments, Denver's like they can't do anything. Like they had negative 15 yards in their first 8 drives of the second half. That's negative 3 yards per drive. Like just think about that. So I'm expecting Denver to come out, punch Kansas City in the face, and then when Kansas City turns around and starts coming back, I want to see if Denver in the second quarter can keep their foot on the pedal, and continue that first quarter success.
Definitely. We'll definitely look forward to that because we will be streaming that game tomorrow. And my other one, you took the Broncos. I'm gonna do the Bears here. I'm gonna take what the Bears defense was able to do last week against that Commanders team and see if they can replicate it against this much better Vikings offense. If they can hold the Vikings offense to 3 scores while the Bears are scoring more, I hope, because that's how you win a football game. I don't know if you know that. I went to the John Madden School of Football. That's how you win a football game. You score more points. They can hold them to 3 scores and look pretty dominant while doing it. And I'm talking about pressures. I'm talking about sacks. I'm talking about turnovers. They can do that against this Vikings team with Kirk Cousins there at quarterback. That's going to be very impressive. For 2 weeks in a row, they do that. That would be great for us Bears fans. That's another matchup that I'm looking forward to in week 6.
All right. And mine is going to be the game that I will be on the field for. I get to be the one that takes the mic in front of 90,000 fans and go, Duval! Let's go! It's going to be a crazy game, though, and I don't think Jacksonville's going to be able to just win this one easily. The matchup I'm looking at is the Colts running the football against the Jaguars. The Colts are 8th. They're running for 131 yards per game right now. With Jonathan Taylor, without Jonathan Taylor, it doesn't, to me, matter. Right now, the Colts are one of the best running football teams, but Jacksonville ranked 5th in stopping the run, surrendering only 81.6 rushing yards per game. So I'm looking to see, okay, how good is this rushing offense for the Colts, because you don't have your star quarterback. You got to ride with Gardner Minshew. I think it's going to be really important that they stop, that they're able to run. And for Jacksonville, it's going to be really important that they stop the run and force Gardner Minshew to be a throwing quarterback for this game. Because when it comes to passing yards, opponent passing yards per game, Jacksonville's 27. All right.
Ooh.
So Jacksonville is
rough.
Their bread and butter right now is stopping the run. Coincidentally, that's what has the Colts kind of playing competitive football. I want to see who gives on that matchup.
And another one I think I want to see is how many sacks can the Bills defense get against this Giants team? Because 11 and then 7, dude. I think the Bills are going to eat next week.
Yeah.
Ginger's saying, let's go Broncos. I'll bust a Russ jersey out Sunday to try to help change the luck. Let's go, Ginger. That's our boy.
That's tomorrow. That's tomorrow, Ginger.
Oh, yeah, that's tomorrow, Ginger. That's tomorrow. You got to tune in for the game stream here.
And I'm so pumped because Thursday is our game where we are perfectly in sync the whole entire game. So it's going to be good. No spoilers. Dude, I am so pumped. Like I'm telling you, man, like when it's the day before, like yesterday, I was like, all I got to do is wake up and have Wednesday and then it's game day. Like, I'm like, when you get that excited that you start like, making the days feel shorter in your head. Yep. I haven't been this pumped for a game in a minute. I'm really pumped, man. It's the record. 16 wins straight would be a world record. Denver's got to beat them in Arrowhead.
Break that streak, baby. That's going to be a good one. I feel like all games should be streamed on Prime with how in sync we are with Prime.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
they should all be on Prime.
Call me Justin Timberlake because I'm in sync. Bye, 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 bye. I don't want to be a fool for you.
Call me
Just
18 because I'm prime age right now. All right.
But it ain't no lie, baby.
Baby,
Bye,
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 bye.
bye.
We're going to get sued for that. All right, next.
If I get sued for that, I would be like, take that as a compliment. I
Yeah.
sounded too close to him. Sorry.
All right, Kyle. Let's move on to our next segment. Conspiracies with Kyle. Kyle, what have you got for us this week on a conspiracy in the NFL? You had us at the edge of our seats last week with Robert Kraft and Michael Jackson, that connection you made. If it wasn't for Michael Jackson, Robert Kraft wouldn't have happened. Bill Belichick wouldn't have happened. Tom Brady wouldn't have happened. 6 Super Bowls wouldn't have happened, as Rusty loved to remind us. What have you got for us this week?
All right. So I'm gonna tell you kind of the topic, and then tomorrow for Thursday night, I'm going to give you more of the surrounding details before kickoff. Because I really want this to kind of linger. You know, I want this to marinate for at least 12 hours before I tell you everything.
Minimum.
But I'll tell you, this one is really big, man. This one, you'll understand why in a second.
Woo.
Ben Roethlisberger died in a motorcycle accident.
What?
Ben
What?
Roethlisberger died in a motorcycle accident.
Fuck you. No, he didn't.
It was in 2006, January 12th, that we heard about Big Ben in serious condition after a motorcycle accident. But if you look at the player that actually played for Big Ben, because this happened in December, you'll notice that this guy looks nothing like Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, my God.
Just enough time for some plastic surgery to be done in the offseason. And a Ben Roethlisberger looking much more like Ben Roethlisberger the following season after, oh yeah, by the way, it's public record about this plastic surgery. This isn't just nothing.
Oh no! What did Kyle get into?
Came back
here?
in, and isn't it funny how Ben Roethlisberger was never the same after winning his Super Bowl?
He was always hurt.
They got a guy to come in and play, and tomorrow I'm going to give you all of the details to back this up, but I think it's time for you guys to start asking yourself some hard questions about the man that we've been calling Ben Roethlisberger for the last 19 years.
So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow for Thursday Night Football to get all these details, and this will be a video over this weekend. So if you guys can't catch this stream or the live stream, we're going to get you the details. And if you're tuning into the video we post on YouTube, you know, we set it out outside of the live stream. The details are here up next. But Kyle, what the hell? You just dropped the bomb. You just dropped the bomb on us. and look, I love, because they say that Paul McCartney of the Beatles died in like 64 or something like that. and they found a guy who could sing like him, a guy who was left-handed who could play guitar. They did plastic surgery. All these signs point to he died because of album covers, blah, blah, blah. So not
He's
only
the only one barefoot on the album cover.
Not only do you have my curiosity, but now you have my interest. So I cannot wait to hear those details tomorrow, and hopefully you guys can tune in. But again, if not, watch out for the video here on Star 6 Media. Kyle, you son of a bitch. All right. Well, we always end the episode with this. I want to thank Rusty. I want to thank everybody in the comments. Jinja, Steve, Richard's comment we didn't get to, End World Hunger, and Tyler Fink. But Kyle, what you got for the little chives? What you got for little chives there to just, you know, put it at the end of the episode? What you got for us?
So the chives that I wanted to drop today was, we saw the Patriots play the Raiders last year. And if you remember correctly, that was when the Patriots were pretending that they had to score on that play or the game was over. While meanwhile, if they would have just taken a knee, they would have gone to overtime. And they throw the ball, It gets picked up. Mac Jones gets stiff-armed back on the ground, said, "Sit down, you pathetic wimp," and walked into the end zone, and the Raiders won. And a lot of people don't remember this, but in 2008, Josh McDaniels was the Denver Broncos head coach. And Denver started off week 1, and they were playing the Bengals. And it wasn't looking good. We had Kyle Olsen. No. What's the quarterback's name?
Kyle Trask?
No, for the Bears.
Kyle
Olsen. Orton. Kyle Orton. I think we know someone named Kyle Olsen. So anyway, we had Kyle Orton as our quarterback week 1, and they had to throw the ball up, and it got tipped, and Brandon Stokely caught it and ran into the end zone. He actually ran this way to take more time off, and Denver somehow, through a miracle, was 1-0. Then they went 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, and then 5-0. And then week 6, it was Josh McDaniels' first game against Bill Belichick. And the Denver Broncos won that game, and Josh McDaniels ran all around the stadium going, "Let's go!" And the fans were going absolutely berserk. We were 6-0, and we would finish the season 8-8. 8-8. But I will say Josh McDaniels has had a lot of success beating Bill Belichick. I've made a lot of jokes that aren't really jokes about you can't beat your big brother, you can't beat up your dad. There's this thing. If anyone can do it, it's Josh McDaniels. I know I picked the Patriots, so my chives are me telling you why the Raiders have a real shot.
There you go. Bet Raiders, everybody. Bet Raiders. All right. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Again, thank you to Rusty for coming on for a few minutes. They're talking about the state of the Patriots. Hopefully you guys liked our predictions. Hopefully we predicted your team to win. And if not, tough shit. It's because your team probably sucks. All right.
We disagreed on 70%. It seemed
we did. And this week 6 is gonna be full of a lot of good games. So go follow us to catch these streams on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, and Facebook at Star6 Media, and on Twitter at _Star6 Media. Go check out our YouTube page. Subscribe. That'd be awesome. We're getting close to 500. We're getting close to super chats. We're getting close to ads. We're getting close to just monetizing the site to bring you the best NFL football content we can bring you. Kyle, do you agree with that? I think you agree with that.
I agree with that. And you guys can follow me at Twitter at FTBLONLYPODCAST. Only Football Podcast.
And you could follow me at and now Rick. Jesus Christ. And go follow us on Twitter. We like retweeting stuff about the NFL, talking about other sports too. But if you guys just want NFL, let us know. We got a couple people here who are subscribers who comment on all of our streams, who message us on Twitter. We always respond. We're always talking shit. So go ahead, follow us on Twitter. We will talk shit back. Kyle, thank you as always. Great stream. And everybody have a good night. Kyle, I'll see you tomorrow.
Don't forget, guys, to follow me on Appleseed. I'll get that fixed before tomorrow night. I'll see you then.
See ya.